Hello? 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 Hear me? Hello? Hello? Not connecting. Hello? Nope. Doing some testing. Nope. It's not working. This one working? Hello? 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 That is working. I can't hear anything. It's working? Okay. I think people can hear me, but I can't hear myself for some reason. Let me see why this is not working. Is this plugged in? This is plugged in. So that's working. All right. Well, hello everyone. We're here with another live stream. Actually, I'm gonna try this other layout today. I think this should be better, but yeah. So yeah, we're getting our bit together, but we're really excited to start doing these live streams and making them more formal in the future, because we have a lot of really good stuff coming out with Hummingbot. Today, I'm going to finish off the Gateway series and really present how we've restructured the Gateway DEX middleware for version 2.8. I'll demo what you can expect in terms of the new kind of like architecture and command sequence. But first, before I start, I want to kind of like first describe the problem we're trying to solve with Gateway a bit more. Because personally, I spent a lot of time doing DEX trading, and so I've kind of come to appreciate the differences between kind of like how DEXs work and how SEXs work. And first, I kind of want to just like show you what I've learned and to describe why I think it makes sense to have a separate kind of piece of software just fully designed to help you land transactions on DEXs and helps you kind of like interact with DEXs in a way that's open source and allows the DEXs themselves to like add integrations into it. So eventually, hopefully, if gateways does become used, we'll see more and more of the DEXs added to it. Currently, because I've kind of spent a lot of time refactoring it, currently it just has initially just starts with these four DEX protocols along with 0x. It's more because we've taken out a lot of the legacy code and made it simpler and cleaner, and added new functionalities for doing swaps and managing LP positions. So that's what I'm going to demo today. But hopefully after 2.8 is out, we'll be able to have developers from the community add back all the other DEXs we had before, like PancakeSwap, Curve, Quick Swap, and so forth. And people can also add other connectors in the future. Okay, all right, I'm gonna take this off. Well, yeah, I still can't hear myself for some reason, but you guys can hear me, so hopefully that works. Let me actually figure out what's going on here. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, all right. Well, yeah. So the first thing I want to do is let me explain kind of what we'll be covering today in terms of the DEXs we'll be interacting with. I'm going to focus a lot on Radium today. So I'm going to show kind of like how these DEXs are different from an order book DEX, because other questions I get is always like, how do we kind of automate certain things? And I'll try to explain how you can actually create a limit order, kind of like using a script with Hummingbot, and also why a limit order is hard to implement without some type of bot on a DEX. So let's start here, which is I think the first thing we should try to do is understand the differences between a DEX like Radium and then versus like, let's say, Binance. Because so the first thing you'll notice is that if you trade on, let's say, Binance, and let's pick a trading pair like Sol USDT, this is an order book exchange. So what that means is you can place orders on the order book like this, and each of these orders is basically an offer by a market maker to buy or sell a certain quantity at a specific price. And so these are basically, it's like entries in a list. They're prioritized according to how competitive the offer is. So for example, here are all the sell orders, and the lower they are, the closer they are to the highest buy order. Here, these are all the buy orders, and they're all kind of organized in a way where the ones that are closest to the mid price are the ones that are the most likely to be filled. So the market makers are basically putting orders on the order book. The takers are coming in, and then basically taking those orders off of the order book and consuming the liquidity that the market makers have put on there. Now, but also another thing to note is that this is a central exchange. So when you interact with exchange, it's basically a company. They hold your crypto on your behalf. So you're basically sending them their crypto. They're holding it in their wallets, and you're trading with it, in their database. And then when you withdraw, they're sending the crypto back to you. But as we all know, crypto is a bearer asset, and so there's a saying: crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. And so that's why I think one of the big trends toward decentralized exchanges like Radium has been the desire for people to have more control. And so when you interact with Radium, you're doing so through through your own wallet, either through something like Phantom or through something like Ledger, like a hardware wallet. And so so that's another difference. But the main thing to track is that these are not order books. These are called AMMs. So for example, if I look at the state Solana, as you see. So this trading pair here, this is not a order book. This is an AMM. So what this means is that people have deposited 55,000 SOL, and about $10 million US into this pool is really just literally a pool with these two assets in it and these two quantities. And whenever someone wants to do a swap versus the pool, these two numbers multiplied together have to be the same before and after the swap. So what that means is if I trade something like small, like let's say 1 SOL, it's probably not going to move the market much because 55,000 plus 1 or plus or minus 1 is not a big number. But the bigger the worse this price will get. So if I do 10, it's not bad. If I do 100, it's also not bad. But if I start increasing this number, let's say to like 10,000, actually 100 million, I should see the price here start to decrease. So anyway, so this is probably not possible because there's not that much liquidity in the pool. But basically, because there's only so much liquidity in the pool, the more you want to use of that liquidity, the worse your price is going to get. So that's why I hope this explains why you can't really do limit orders, because it's kind of like this is just two assets sitting in a pool. The only way that a swap can be successful is if it's basically like a market order. So you can do limit orders, but it's more like you have to have a bot that's watching for some price level, and then once that price level is triggered, then you're doing a trade. So those are kind of like, I would say, the workarounds for doing limit orders, but I think it's important to understand like how this works. The other thing is that as a market maker, you're not necessarily placing orders on the exchange. Instead, you're just depositing assets into this pool. Now, in a standard pool like this, you don't have that much control because you're just depositing assets in. However, so you're kind of like just depositing assets, half asset A, half asset B, at whatever price the pool is set at. But what you do get is you do earn the fees here. So, because let's say this pool is a 0.25% pool, what it means is that every single time someone does a trade, the liquidity providers are earning 0.25%. So what I find interesting is that I actually think these kind of pools are a good way to hold meme coins, actually. So in my portfolio, I don't have it here, but I actually use these V2 pools a lot to basically hold meme coins, because if you hold a meme coin by itself, let's say some random meme coin like Bonkyo, this coin is gonna go up and down, right? So it's really hard to have a good entry point, to know like if you're actually gonna be making money off this. And we can see this if we go to like something like DEX Tracker, and if we look at let's look at this one here. Poor D. So this coin is a very volatile coin because it's a new meme coin, obviously. So it's really hard to know, when you want to buy and sell this coin. Like if you buy it here, maybe it'll go up, but it might crash down again. So it's basically a gamble. And to me, the reason I like these pools is because if I do want to play this coin, I think that depositing, half SOL and half, like, let's say like one SOL, and basically kind of like doing it this way, I think is a better way, long-term way to play a meme coin than just doing this. Because if you basically LP for it, you're gonna miss out some of the upside, but you also kind of protect from the downside, because this almost, it can't go to zero, because half this position is always going to be SOL. But the other factor is, if it does stay in this range, as it trades up and down, the fees actually can be a meaningful source of yield. So right now it's 401%. So in theory, if this coin existed for over a year, and that's a big if, then you would actually earn 400% over the course of that 1 year. So the way I look at it is, I think that these V2 pools, standard pools, are a good way to take exposure to meme coins if you don't want to do like active launch money. So I actually hold some meme coins like this, and I've held them for months, and the value has actually gone up despite the fact that the meme coin has gone down, because the fees have compensated me for that. So one reason why I think it's important to have something like Gateway is because if you're kind of like managing it seriously, and you're managing maybe like 30 different positions across different DEXs, could be Radium, could be Uniswap on Ethereum, could be like LFJ on Avalanche, or PancakeSwap on BNB chain, it becomes a big mess. And I think having like an open source piece of software that you can just look at everything in a standardized way is helpful. But the other reason we wanted to have Gateway is to support the other type of pool, which are concentrated liquidity AMMs. Now, I think of these concentrated pools as kind of like a hybrid between an order book exchange like Binance or Hyperliquid, and like a standard pool. So to explain more, a standard pool, it's basically, you have to deposit asset A and asset B. So it's like, if it's BonkU, if you put one SOL, there's going to be an equivalent amount of BonkU, which is basically half the value in this pool here. But in a concentrated liquidity pool, now we can basically specify the price range that we define. So if I want to set a price range, like over here, like below the price, then my asset I'm depositing is entirely USDC. And if I want to go the other way, if I want to deposit, just basically, if I just want to deposit this is just SOL. So it's almost like, these are almost like a hybrid between orders and standard pools, because you basically specify the range during which your liquidity is active, and the amount what you deposit is dependent on that price range. And I think intuitively this makes sense, because something like this, like let's say I do like a really narrow range like this, like let's say I do a range like this, that's, call it like between 4 to 6% above the price. This is actually kind of like an order, because what this is saying is, if the price goes up to here, I'll start switching my SOL for USDC. If it hits this boundary here, it'll be the SOL will be 100% USDC, and before it hits this run here, this level, it'll be 100% sold. So it's kind of like you're looking at an order book like this, and you're kind of like basically carving out a range and saying that range is where I want to provide liquidity. Now you can also do a dual-sided. You can say I want to provide liquidity across, like this range, and that would be something like this, where if the white line is a current price, you're basically drawing a very tight range around the current price. So I honestly, these kind of ranges, or I call them ranges, but other people call them LP positions. These are actually my favorite tool from like a DeFi, like a trader's perspective, because to me, it's like this offers you the flexibility to define how you want to, how much risk you want to take, and you also earn the fees. The other reason why I think the other reason why people do this a lot is to farm points or to farm rewards. Now, and I think it can be a significant source of yield on some of these places. Now, Radium is probably not, because Radium's a very mature exchange. But if it's a new chain or a new exchange, these rewards can be sometimes even more than the trading fees themselves. So right now, like if you look at these here, the Radium, like this little like green line relative to the purple line is very small, and that's because most of the yield is coming from fees. But there are certain times, sometimes like if it's a new exchange that has or a new token that has rewards, those rewards can be pretty meaningful. So it's kind of like I think to me, this is like it's kind of a different game than trading on centralized exchanges. Number one, it's kind of like more dependent on you keeping everything safe. So you have to, number one, have very good operational security around how you do it, because if you get hacked or if you lose your private key, then you basically lose your funds. So I think the first thing I think is that's kind of why we try to emphasize adding hardware wallet support to this version of Gateway, because I think if you are going to be doing DEX trading with any serious amount of capital, I would highly recommend doing so using a hardware wallet like Ledger. The second thing that's different is there's a much higher kind of a technical bar, because if you send a transaction, and you probably see this if you use Phantom or MetaMask, sometimes the transaction will fail. And that's because when you're sending it, you're actually sending it through these nodes. Actually, let me do it this way. So basically, when you send this transaction, Phantom as a wallet is helping you send it through the nodes that is here. I think it's like Helios or something like that. But basically, it's basically you have to consider like which node provider you're using. Now, especially with Hummingbot, because it's open source, you're doing it yourself. We by default we have the default public nodes, but if you're running a bot, you probably have to have access to like a private node. Now, and the third difference I think is, if you understand the differences between order books and these kind of DEX as well, then I think you can also turn it into an advantage, because the single biggest difference between trading on a DEX or market making on a DEX versus market making on a SEX is that you actually get paid the fees from takers as opposed to paying a maker fee. Because while Binance does offer discounts for makers versus takers, most of the time, even if you make a trade, you provide an order, the order gets filled, the maker is still paying some fee. It might only be 0.01% or whatever, but there's still some maker fee typically. The situation is completely the opposite on an AMM DEX. The reason the fee is important is because the market maker is earning the fee. So when I look at these kind of pools, I want to see a high fee number, because most of that fee is going to me as a market maker. So it's kind of like this fee is really my compensation for why I should be taking the risk that Bonkyo might go to zero, that might go up, and because like as a market maker, you're always on the other side of that trade, right? So I think what you want to look for are pools where the APY, the APR is high because that indicates fees is high relative to the liquidity that's already there in that position. Okay, so I think we have a good understanding of the differences. I hope that wasn't overall too basic, but I kind of wanted to motivate this a little bit instead of just diving straight into the demo, because I think that as for me, like I actually don't do much trading at all on DEXs nowadays, and the reason is because I think the DEXs give you more flexibility. You get access to the newest coins. In Gecko Terminal, they always have this trending list, and you can see which coins are trending. And so to me, I think it's kind of like the central exchanges are really there for doing more trading on mature coins when you're doing kind of real like machine learning and research and trying to figure out how to trade something that has been in the market for a long time, where you can use data to spot trends. And so these are coins like Bitcoin or Solana or Ethereum. Whereas I think AMM DEXs are great for new assets. That's why launch pads are kind of like the where basically it's that's where everything is a competitive arena, and only a small number of them graduate to Radium. So the ones you're seeing here are the ones that have already graduated from the launch pads, like Bonk and like Pump. But even then, there's still tens of thousands of these kind of coins, and so it's kind of like it becomes just a different game, I think, than trading on a centralized exchange. Typically, I think on DEX, it's more about trying to farm a high yield and having a good amount of diversification across your positions, and trying to ensure that if the market goes up or down, you're not losing that much money. You're profiting primarily from the yield that you're generating across your portfolio. So hopefully I give you a sense of the differences between DEX and DEXs, and we can now let me show you kind of like how we set up Gateway and why some of the changes we made to 2.8. Okay, I'm gonna pause there. I've been talking for about 20 minutes now. I'm kind of tired, so let me take a break. I'm gonna grab some coffee. I'll be right back. But in the meantime, feel free to put some questions in the chat. I hope I try to just explain why we built Gateway. But the next step is we're gonna after this we're gonna install Gateway, and we're gonna use it with Hummingbot, and I'll show how we can basically use it to interact with Radium. All right, be right back. All right, everyone. Back. My mic still doesn't work. This actually works, but I can't hear myself. Actually, no. This mic is working, but I just I think my headphone actually. Yeah, I think the problem is my headphones. These headphones have probably bit it. Actually, wait. But this works. Yeah, I don't know. Weird. Hello? Hello? Yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. All right. Actually, is it like this? Is it this? Hello? Hello? Oh, no, that's not good. Okay. All right. Forget. Well, people can hear me. That's fine. Okay. So now let's move on to and actually installing Gateway and using it with Hummingbot. So so on one side, I've installed the Hummingbot 2.8 branch that has the Gateway. So I think if we're gonna be doing this. Okay, all right, yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, to follow along, if you want to follow along, I'm using the branch 2.8. There's a pull request here called 2.8 improvements, and there's also a corresponding pull request in the gateway one for 2.8. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is we'll get them both set up. So I have Hummingbot here, and I have Gateway over here. So so really there are two different folders in my directory. Yeah, this one is, I think, yeah, Fang Hummingbot. This one is Fang Gateway. And yeah, I've just basically pulled the GitHub repos from both of them in these two directories. So in Hummingbot, I've already done the install command, but if you haven't done it already, you should probably run install, which would, oops, sorry, this is not good. Let me switch to my other screen shared pane here. 1 second. Aha, good. Okay, so now, yeah, this will hopefully make it a little clear what we're talking about here. So yeah, so on this one here, I've basically pulled this branch of Gateway, and on the other branch here, I have this one from Hummingbot. So yeah, this one is feat Gateway 2.8 new, and this one is just core 2.8. Okay, all right. So we'll close these two, and I'm gonna go back here. Whoops, go back here. Nope, go back here. Okay, all right. So so here, yeah, on Hummingbot side, there's one install, and then we run conda activate Hummingbot, and yeah, and there you go. So so by default, and then on the gateway side, yeah, you should run pm install like that. Install, and then you want to run pm build to build the TypeScript dependencies, and then finally you want to run pm run setup. This will run the setup command. Actually, let me make this a little bigger. So so this setup command now is a bit more comprehensive, because there's different folders with different configurations. So sometimes you may not want to override certain ones. For example, if you've added custom tokens before, you've added pools, you've changed configs, you may not want to override them, and so this will help you override them. So this is my first time, so I'll just say yes for everything, and this will copy over the defaults from the templates directory into the new conf directory that stores my configs. So I have an option to link to the Hummingbot client certificates. So in the past, this was mandatory because we wanted people to run Gateway securely behind SSL. But people did have issues with finding the right directory, creating certs, that kind of things. So in 2.8, this will be optional. So you can actually say no, you don't need to do this. And you can just, by default, you can just run Access Gateway unencrypted. But if you're running production, we recommend doing so in encrypted mode. So now I've done that. Now I can basically just start Gateway by running npm start. Now this will work by itself like this, but the problem is that, yeah, so this won't work because you want to set a passphrase, and the reason you want to set a passphrase is because that passphrase is used to encrypt the wallets that you store with Gateway, so that when it's stored, you're not storing the private key in plain text. Instead, it's hashed with a password. So I because this is my local computer, it's secure. I'm going to use something like A, and this will do that. So if you just do pm start password A, oops, dash passphrase, this will start Gateway in encrypted mode. So this will start behind HTTPS, and you have to have certificates generated with this passphrase in order to access these endpoints. However, if you're just testing out, you can run the dev flag. The dev flag, and you can see this this red circle as opposed to green. This will run Gateway unencrypted. So that means that you can just access the endpoints directly on this port. But this also helps you in development because there are interactive Swagger docs on this endpoint here. So if we go to that endpoint, let's go to localhost 1588 docs. You can see all the endpoints that we now have access to now that Gateway is running. So essentially, Gateway is basically just a REST API server. It allows you to kind of like update configurations for various blockchains, DEX connectors, and so forth. You can add and remove wallets, including a hardware wallet. You can add and remove tokens. So these are like individual lists for each blockchain network that you maintain, like a mapping between a symbol and an address. You can also do the same thing for pools. You can see like I want to interact. If you can see Sol USDC is this particular pool and refer to it by trading pair. And the reason that's helpful is because there might be many pools for Sol USDC because this is permissionless. So there's the largest one, but anyone can create a pool for a trading pair in Radium or Uniswap. But the endpoints that most people use are the chain and the connector endpoints. So for every chain like Solana should expose certain endpoints like status, balance, pull, and estimated gas. And Ethereum also does the same thing, and they also have some Ethereum specific ones like allowances, approve, wrap, and unwrap. The reason why only these two chains is because these are really designed to support different wallet architectures. So basically, if you use Phantom, in any Solana wallet, you can interact with the Solana chain architecture. And if you're using MetaMask or Rabby, you can interact with any of the Ethereum chains. So that's why for Ethereum, actually, this means that Ethereum includes all EVM networks as well. So that's why we have defined Binance Smart Chain, and Celo and Polygon as networks. So if you go to Ethereum, you can define a network. And then finally, for connectors, so there's three types of connectors that we've added initially to Gateway. So if you look at Uniswap, for example, Uniswap supports all three types. So the three types are routers, AMM, and CLAM. So for routers are designed to interact with with DEXs like Jupiter, where it's a DEX aggregator that uses a router, and so because if you trade between USDC and Sol, it might actually use different pools. It might hit it might use Radium, it might hit so forth. So that's why when let's say you do like 100 Sol like this, you'll see this route here. Actually, let's see. This is not, if I do manual 0.1%. So yeah, this is not a router. Yeah, there's always like a route here. So right now this is using Metis, but there are other routes that are available depending on the which ones are optimal at a particular time. And so the reason why Jupiter as a DEX is different from, let's say, Radium is because Jupiter does not maintain pools directly. Instead, it aggregates liquidity from lots of different Solana DEXs, and it just provides you the best route between two different tokens. So for Jupiter, for 0x and a Uniswap router on Ethereum, we have a special router schema, and routers that basically means that router DEXs should define three routes. Quote swap, where the user provides information about the tokens they want to trade, and then this returns basically a price quote along with the actual quote that could be executed. Then there is execute quote, where now you can basically take the quote you have and execute it and do a trade. And then finally, there's an execute swap endpoint, which combines the first two. It basically goes out, fetches a quote, and then also executes that quote in one single call. So the whole idea behind this is that we've defined these standardized endpoints for Uniswap router, but for Jupiter it's the same thing, and the same thing for 0x as well. So it provides a standardized schema that any router protocol any DEX aggregator protocol can adhere to and add a connector. Tell me about it in the future. Similarly, we also have standards for AMM and CLMM. I always butcher that word. I'm going to call this CLAM from now on. So AMM and CLAM. So AMM is basically the standard protocol for interacting with standard pools like Uniswap v2 or standard AMM pools. So the endpoints available are things like fetching the info about a pool, fetching the position, quoting a swap, adding liquidity, executing a swap, executing adding liquidity, and then finally removing liquidity. Actually, we should probably take a look at the Radium ones, which are similar. So for each of these are different. So for example, let's say we want to get the pool info on Radium like this. We can use this and fetch it, and we can see the address of this pool here. And so this pool here is, I believe, this one here. This is, here we go. So this pool here is basically the same one that we just fetch info for using the gateway pool info command. And this one just takes a network and pool address and provides you with the current information about the fee, the price, and the amount in the reserves. You can see that this number here matches what's in here. So there's a bunch of get routes for information about your positions, about the pools. There's also similarly there's post routes that help you execute transactions, and with the same thing for CLAM connectors as well. So a lot of the work here has been really defining the standard, creating an interface that kind of allows people to add easily new connectors, and then also integrating this into Hummingbot. So now through Hummingbot, you can interact with these DEX connectors in the same way that you could with SEX connectors. So yeah, let me show how that works in 2.8 right now. So I'm going to assume that you have this up and running. So you have this gateway running here that I just showed you. So once again, we can start gateway with pnpm start passphrase -dev. And over here, if you've done that, if you start Hummingbot, you should be able to see gateway loaded now. So there we go. So we can see that we have a gateway online. Actually, this is not. Let me move my screen share here. 1 second. Let me move this right here. Yeah, good. This one better. Actually, maybe I should do this the other way. Yeah, let's go this other way. Let's do this instead of moving my face. I got to do this. This is not good. I want to do this. I do this way since I don't like to change the scene after I've set it in OBS. I'm gonna move. Start to switch the location of these things here. Okay, got it. So now, yeah. So the main thing I want to show you. Actually, no. This is still not great. I'll move this. Yes, this is over here, I guess. Yeah, okay. All right, we'll do it this way. So yeah, the one of the things that we end up having Hummingbot, I'll make this a little bigger, is this new gateway online. This will tell you if gateway is online or not. Note that in the past you had to generate certificates in Hummingbot and then use them in gateway to use it in encrypted mode. You can still do that. You can still run the generate certs command to generate certs and use them with Hummingbot, but you don't have to anymore. Instead, and the reason is because you can just run it in encrypted mode like this. So by default, it'll actually be like this in unencrypted mode. And you can do that. If you want to run it in encrypted mode, you can just change a configuration setting called gateway use SSL. So by default, it's false. If I set it to true, then you'll see this lock icon here. Right now I'm connected, but if I exit again, so if I exit again and I enter it again, I'll see that the gateway is offline with this lock icon, and that's because I'm using the use SSL true now. So I would have to do gateway generate certs in order to do that. So when I enter the password to generate certs, I need to use the same one that I'm using when I'm running gateway. So I'll put A here, and then after that, if I have generate certs, I can go to Hummingbot to gateway over here like this. I'll run the config command again. So I'm not going to copy over this stuff because we already did it. But I am going to link my Hummingbot certificates. And then I just need to basically put in the folder where it is. So let's see. Hummingbot Fang, Hummingbot certs here. Ensure that this here matches what's in there. It does. And then once I do that, this will basically symlink from that folder into here. So now it basically has, all it is, we just created a directory called certs with the same information as here. And now when I run gateway start, let's see, I can run pm run, I'll do it this way, pm start passphrase A. I'm not going to use a dev flag because I actually do want to run this in secured mode. And then now you can see over here it says gateway online with the log icon. So that now it means that gateway is connected and it's protected behind SSL. So this is important, especially if you're using gateway on a server that's accessible to the public. Let's say if you're like a Docker container on a public AWS server with ports active, because yeah, that's how you could get in trouble. But we do want to make it easy, so this is not the default option. You can just run it unencrypted if you want. All right, so let's get into how you actually interact with gateway. Let me move this, make the screen a bit bigger here. Increase the font size. I'm gonna do Control-T to hide this window a little bit, and then yeah, I think I can move my face. No, yeah, I'll leave my face over there on that side. So let's go through the menu first and see what commands are available first. So if you gateway-h, that shows you the help command. The first one you probably want to do is just do something like gateway list to see what's available. This shows you the list of connectors that are available. So we can connect to Jupiter, Meteora, Radium, and Uniswap. They have, these are every connector, every DEX is linked to a specific chain. Here are the networks on a chain where those DEXs are available. And here are the trading types. So the actual connector name is more like Jupiter/router or Meteora/AMM, because these are actually the folders, the subfolders that define the routes that are available. So we can also do gateway ping. Gateway ping basically shows you the status of your networks. And so right off the bat, we can see that we're using basically the default public nodes for both Solana and for Ethereum. We have a concept of a default network and a default wallet. So to make it easy to interact with a blockchain, you just specify for every chain what the default wallet and what the default network is. So for example, for Solana right now, my default network is mainnet beta, and my default wallet is the placeholder text here, and the same for Ethereum. So an important thing you want to do is A, add a wallet when you start, and B, change the configuration so that you're using kind of like a private node URL, just like a free Alchemy node or a Quig node, or a paid one. Because if you're running bots actively trading on DEXs, you're going to hit rate limits if you use the basic ones. So let's do those first two actions: adding a wallet and changing the node URL configuration before we start actually using this for trading. So let's add a wallet first. To do that, we want to use the gateway connect button or gateway connect command. So we can do that for Ethereum and for Solana. I'm going to focus today on Solana. It's more because I haven't fully tested all the Ethereum routes yet. But by the time 2.8 is working, it should work well for Ethereum and Solana. Okay, so let's connect Solana. Now we can add two types of wallets to Gateway. Now, and this is actually new in 2.8. We can add a hardware wallet to Gateway for the first time, and this will be important because as we get into later on, if you're trading in DEXs and using Serious as a capital, I think having a hardware wallet is very important from an operational security perspective. But for now, let's just add a regular wallet. So we'll need to get our Solana wallet private key. So let me copy that in and paste it in. 1 second. So this key will be saved locally, and it'll be saved encrypted with the password the passphrase we use when we started Gateway. So that's why it's you still want to make sure it's safe though. So it's important not to leak it. That's why when you paste it like this, it's not exposed to the public. And then now, if it's successful, then you'll see it's added a regular wallet. So now when I run Gateway balance, I'll see that I can fetch balances for Solana, and for Ethereum, it reminds me that I haven't added a wallet yet. But if I did add an Ethereum wallet, it would also fetch my balances for the default Ethereum network as well. So let's say we wanted to actually check, like what we want to change the default wallet or the default network. We can also just use the gateway config command for that. So let's change the Ethereum default network, and we can run gateway config Ethereum update. So let's change the default network for Ethereum. Currently, and by default, it'll be mainnet. But we can choose any of the Ethereum networks that are available, so we can use Base for that. We'll probably add a completer for this, so you can see what options are available in the future. But yeah, you can set that. And so now in the future, once you're running this, you'll use Base. So yeah, but doing gateway balance, you can see that it's trying to fetch Ethereum balances for Base, but it couldn't do so. Okay, so that's how you add a wallet and check balances. Let's go ahead and change the node configuration for Solana before we proceed, because that's an important one. Now, we're not going to change this in the Solana config. Instead, we're going to change this in the Solana mainnet beta config, because we define the node and other parameters at the network level, which allows you to use different nodes for different networks if you want. So let's take a look at the configs. The configs we have for mainnet beta are the node URL, the native currency symbol, some other kind of like key settings here that we can change. So let's go ahead and update that. The one that we care about is node URL, and so we're going to enter in our private node that we have here for Solana. This will help us make sure that it goes a lot faster, and we can fetch balances and run bots smoothly without hitting rate limits. So notice that this goes offline for a second. So this is because in order to take effect, we have to restart gateway and effect. So sometimes this may not work. So I do think just generally, if you make kind of key changes like this with configs, it's always a good idea to restart gateway and make sure that it's actually available. So now we can run gateway balance. Let's say gateway balance again, and we can see our balances like this. Now there might be tokens that are not here. So for example, and it's because we only have a certain number of tokens available. Because every time you fetch a balance for something like this, it's actually going out and making an API call. So if we did it for every single token out there, it would make it really slow. So that's why instead we have a gateway token command where you can do a lookup and see which tokens are in the list. So let's take a look at something like, let's say Pengu, and see if the Pengu token is in the list. And so we see the Pengu is actually not in the list, which means that if we actually wanted to trade Pengu, we need to define the Pengu token first and add it before we can start trading it. So let's do that first, and that will allow us to swap Pengu in the future just by using Pengu instead of the address. So let's do so we'll do Pengu update, and then we want to add that since it's a Solana token. So let's find information about the token first. So to do that, we can go to CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko. Let's go to CoinGecko since they're our friends, and let's find information about the Pengu token and add it into Hummingbot so we can start trading it. So what we need is a SolScan link. So here is a SolScan link for the token, and I want to make sure that I go to the right one because there might be scams out there. That's why I clicked on the one that was in CoinGecko, and from here I can get the symbol, which is Pengu, the name, which is Pudgy Penguins, the contract address, which I can get from here, the decimals, which is 6, and then now there's a confirmation where I can add or update this token into the list. This token list will be added. Actually, I should probably put the list name here. This token is not being added to all these Solana lists. It's only added for the default network you've selected, which is mainnet beta. For Solana, it's not important because there's only really one network. But this is an important thing to know for Ethereum networks because if it's on Arbitrum or Base or mainnet, you want to make sure you're adding it to the right network. Okay, so now let's add this token, and now we can use gateway token Pengu to view this token. Okay, great. So now we can see that we can see that it's going to search for Pengu, and we have now added the Pengu token, which has this address on this network. So if I did have Pengu, I don't think I have any Pengu, but if I did, I would actually show Pengu here like this. Okay, so now let's go ahead and use Gateway and actually buy some of the Pengu token, and we can do that by using the swap command. So the swap command is designed to help you interact with the gateway connectors and conduct swaps using them. So by default, every DEX connector should support the swap end routes, the swap routes. That's why we have all the basically what that means is all the connector types, router, CLAM, and AMM, they expose quote swap and execute swap. And so basically any router, any DEX should be able to do a swap on them. So to do a swap, we want to do basically we just select a DEX like this, and we can enter into interactive mode. So let's try Jupiter, since that's probably the simplest one to use. And so we can just hit Jupiter swap like this, and let's go and let's see. We have a bit of Sol USDC, and so I think we want to basically use USDC. Okay, and then we want to do quote Pengu. The reason I picked USDC first is because now I can specify the amount in USDC. I'm not sure what the price of Pengu is right now. It could be very high or it could be low. I have no idea. But I do think I want to buy something like $1 worth of Pengu. So let's try and get a quote for that. So what I'm doing now is I'm just gonna get a quote to buy $1 worth of Pengu. Basically swapping one USDC for some amount of Pengu, and it's going to fetch a swap quote for that trade from Jupiter. And so here's information about the quote. Basically, it's saying the current price is 27.02. Slippage 1%. This is the default setting in the Jupiter connector. And basically, if I set that trade in, I would actually get back 27.02 Pengu, and this is the kind of the maximum amount. Actually, this is actually I should actually flip this. This should be minimum amount. Anyway, yeah, this is we're actually spending USDC to actually, yeah, this should be sell. Whoops, this is actually no. This is good thing I did this. We actually want to sell USDC here to buy Pengu. So this should actually be buy. So let me do that. And good thing I did that. So yeah, let's do that again. USDC Pengu 1, and then we want to sell. Okay, so yeah, this is actually right. So yeah, we're actually spending USDC to receive Pengu. The minimum amount we get will be less than the actual amount because possibly due to slippage. But it's actually unlikely because the price impact is actually supposed to be very low here. So now this also shows you the balance afterwards because yeah, we would get some Pengu, we would see some USDC go down, but we would also see our SOL balance go down because there's some fees associated with this transaction. Every blockchain transaction, unlike trading on a centralized exchange, does require some type of blockchain fee, gas or compute units or those kind of things. But so I think the reason we pop up this confirmation modal is to tell you exactly how much you're going to be paying for the swap and what the effect on your balances are afterwards. So if I'm happy with that, I can go ahead and just hit yes to go and execute. Let's see, the quote might have expired, but let's see if it does. Okay, great. Now that worked. So so now it means this has just happened, and I can also look at this hash if I wanted to in the blockchain to see exactly what that transaction looked like. Let's actually do that, since I think it's always a good thing to do. If you want to select stuff, one tip is that there's in terminal, there's this allow mouse report, and you can't see it because my face is blocking this thing. But yeah, so if you could see behind this thing, there's a option called allow mouse reporting, and this allows you to select this, and then now we can go into. Let me go into terminal, into this, and then we can actually look at the transaction and see how it compares versus what we had. So let's see where it go. I think it was this one. Here we go. So here's a transaction that we just executed with Gateway. I think it's always good if you're testing out any type of blockchain-based system to start with a very small. Whoops, this is actually not. This is some transaction I was doing earlier. Actually, this is a random person's transaction. This is not my transaction. So let's actually pull our transaction, which is this right here. And then we can look for that. Aha. So here we go. So yeah, so as I mentioned before, if you're just new to blockchains, anytime you're something new, I always recommend starting with very small amounts, because the good thing about trading on blockchains is that you can do a lot of experimentation for very low fees. So the fee we just paid for this transaction was 0.006 cents. So that's why we were able to do a $1 trade. We bought basically $1 worth of Pengu. Now here's what's interesting. This was not a direct trade. We actually traded Pengu here. We actually traded. Yeah, we crossed through JLP somehow, and we hit PancakeSwap apparently as well. But ultimately, we only paid less than 0.1 cents, less than 1 cent to do this trade. So for Jupiter will basically help you find a route and everything for you. And so yeah, so if you actually did want to see what's happening behind the hood, you could actually take a look at the Gateway logs. So if you look at the logs here for Gateway, what it actually did was it basically took the hash and it used the fee estimate fetch from the node, and it simulated the transaction. It saw that the transaction would succeed, and then it tries up to 10 times to send the transaction and get it confirmed by a Solana validator. So this time, after the second one, it did execute, and then the polling confirmed that the transaction was confirmed. So this transaction flow is different because in the past, the only way you could interact with connectors was through a strategy or a script. But what I found is for DEXs, a lot of time, you really want to make sure you're doing the right transaction. And so I think having a command layer like this I think we're actually using the same connector code for commands as well as for scripts, which I'll show later on. Basically, I think the commands actually make it easier to gain confidence that they works before you start automating each of these swaps. So what I just show you, you could basically do the same. Let's do the same swap with Radium. I can show you how it's similar with Radium and with Jupiter. So to do a swap with Radium, the same thing. We can just do a swap. Select either for Radium. We need to pick either the AMM or the CLAM because these are different markets basically. And we saw that earlier when we were looking here at Radium, because we can find a Sol USDC pool, Sol, okay, USDC pool here. So this pool has 19 million of liquidity. This is a standard pool, like this, but we can also find a Radium CLAM pool, like this one here. This one here is a CLAM pool. So this one has 11 million liquidity, and this one allows people to deposit like this. So this pool is completely segregated from this pool here. So that's why if we want to trade against using this pool versus this pool, we have to define which market we're in and define exactly which pool we want to swap against. So let's try to swap it versus this particular pool. Actually, let's pick the AMM pool for simplicity, which is this pool ID. So so let's pick let's see, go like this, pick Radium AMM. We actually can do placeholder mode, so we don't have to do interactive. We can just do like this, like that, and then let's say we want to buy 0.01 Sol, which is about $1.50, well, about $2 right now. So, but this will skip the interactive mode and just fetch a quote directly. Now this one is fetching from quote, so it's similar. We'll get it shows the price, the slippage, how much balance you have afterwards, and if you want to execute, you can just hit execute like this, and let's pop the logs and monitor status, and yep, it was filled, and so yep, it was filled here. So this transaction would be very similar. We can also take another look at what that transaction looked like over here. Here's a signer. So this one is less complicated than the Jupiter one because it's not a router. It's just a simple pool, and we did a swap versus that pool. And we can see that this pool, we swapped about 0.1 Sol, and we bought 0.1 Sol, and we spent 1.8 USDC. Okay, so now we've done a swap on Jupiter. We've done a swap on Radium AMM. But I think like one question you may have is, how do we know which pool we were swapping against? How did we know that Radium? How did Radium know that it was actually in pool? So actually, before I answer, so Rafael, it's actually not possible to create a limit order with a sex like Binance, and the reason is because, and I try to explain this at the very beginning, is because these pools are just collections of assets. So the way they work is that in order to do a swap, it's like you have to kind of like have it happen. So there's no way natively to do a limit order by itself because these are not order books. They're just pools. So what you can do, however, is simulate the effect of a limit order by setting a very tight range like this, and then if it's filled, removing that range afterwards. I'll show you exactly a script that does this, but so that's why if you want to kind of like dig into it, you can actually set a very, you can actually, if you do like this, like let's say you do like this is basically a limit order at the extremes, right? Because the narrower this gets, what you're really saying is, as soon as a price hits this thing here, this whole thing will basically buy or sell the token. Now, the difference is the range, unlike an order, stays active. So if the price hits like this, what you don't want to do is kind of come back, right? Because you want it to expire. So the way you can simulate a limit order on AMM DEX is to set a very narrow LP range, and then use a process like Hummingbot to detect when that range has been activated, and when it's been fully used, you just remove that range, and then you have basically a limit order. So at the very end, I'll show a strategy that does that. But first, I wanted to kind of cover the basics, which is before you automate a swap, let's make sure you can actually do a swap successfully. And right now, I'm kind of glossing over all the difficulties you might have, like the node is not working, the network's down, the blockchain's congested, you don't have the right tokens. There's all these kind of issues that you'll deal with. So it's my advice would be, like, if you're trading DEXs, you want to really understand and just like start testing very basic transactions like this. Make sure you understand it, and then you can start automating like a script, like a limit order, and actually be kind of like doing real trading. Yeah, hopefully that is helpful. But okay, so let me get back to explaining how to do like swaps. We'll get into doing LP transactions, and at the very end, we will actually do a strategy like this that's automating something. All right, so now let's go ahead and do the swap. What I want to mention is there's also a pool command. The pool command helps you inspect and define pools that you want to interact with for Radium. So let's say Radium AMM, we want to make sure that every time we trade SOL USDC, we're actually hitting this pool and not some random pool with very low liquidity. So we can do that by Radium pool, and then so let's do SOL USDC gateway pool Radium AMM SOL USDC. So this will tell us what the default pool is for a trading pair, and if that default exists. So right now the default does exist, and we can see that we're actually using this pool address for Radium AMM, which I believe is actually this one here. Yep. So this pool here is already defined as the pool here, and then we can do the same thing for Radium Clan and SOL USDC. If we want to change it, we can run the update command, and this update command will allow us to specify a new address, and so forth, so that we can basically look up new pools. So I'm satisfied with defaults. I'm not going to do them now. We've only added defaults for the key pools. So if you wanted to, let's say, trade something like Pengu, which we just added, you'll probably have to add this pool yourself using the update modifier. All right. So now let's start actually interacting with these pools. The main way that you can, besides swap, what you can do is you can LP versus the pools. So with the LP command, oops, let me do that first. So let me talk about the LP command first a little bit. This is a new feature for in Gateway 2.8. So what the LP command does is it allows you to basically add liquidity, remove liquidity, get info about a position, and collect fees from Gateway AMMs. So this is kind of like a counterpoint to swapping. If you're doing swapping, you're a taker. If you're an LP, you're a maker. So so to do that, let's actually do that. Actually, before we do that, let me connect my hardware wallet. Because one thing I want to show is that, and I think this is actually a big feature in 2.8, is the ability to use hardware wallets in Gateway to do swaps and to do LP transactions. So let's connect a hardware wallet for Solana. Let's do that first. And so we'll do that hardware. And now the first thing I'll do is I'll plug in my hardware wallet address. This will help me confirm that if I actually do this properly, that I've put in the right address. So let me copy my hardware wallet here. Okay. Oh, actually, you know what? This is, I think I did something wrong. 1 second. I think okay, 1 second. Oh yes, guys, this is okay, so yeah, but we don't error handle very well. So actually, this is good. If I so if I do this like this, hardware wallet, if I get an error, like this. So yeah, the log file I think is helpful to show you what error you're getting. So this is saying, well, yeah, I see the log file, but if I go to the gateway logs like this, I can see that it says ledger device is locked. Please unlock your ledger device and open an app. We should actually be passing this through into Hummingbot. I'll try to handle that error better in the future. But of course, yeah, this is if I need to add a hardware wallet, I have to unlock it first with my my passphrase. Give me 1 second. Let me do that. Okay. All right. So let's do that again. So now so now it basically connected my hardware wallet and it created an entry in the database for it. And now if I do gateway balance, I'll see that this is my hardware wallet that's using for this. And actually, I do have some Pengu in that wallet, so Pengu did show up here for me here as well. Okay, so now let's talk about how this works. So by default, when I added the wallet, it set this as a default wallet. So now I'm going to use this wallet for all interactions with Gateway. I can change that by just doing this again for another wallet address, and it'll specify the other one as the default wallet. So with this, let's go ahead and do some and create a pool for Pengu here. So let's say how much is. Let's figure out how much 245 Pengu actually is. So let's say if we actually did want to do a swap on, let's say Radium Clam for Pengu to Sol. What does that look like? So let's see. If I want to sell 245 Pengu, what kind of price would I get for that? Okay, how does that work? Oh yes, this is because. Why does that work? This is because I have not defined a pool for Pengu Sol. That's probably because Gateway pool Radium Clam Pengu Sol. It does exist. Okay, interesting. So why did I not get an error? Pool not found for address. Oh, okay. It's possible the pool actually doesn't exist. So maybe this is probably just an imaginary pool that was added accidentally. So let's go and actually correct this. This is a good time to actually correct what we're seeing. And let's go ahead and add the right pool for Radium concentrated. So let's go ahead and find it first. So after we add it, then we can start trading. So we want the concentrated pool. So it's this one here, I think. And so yeah, it seems like the address was just wrong. So let's see, gateway pool clam. Oh, clam. This is Pengu. So actually, this is Pengu Sol Pengu. It should be the same thing. I think we actually we find like this. Okay, update. Yes. Contract address is this one here. Add this pool. Yes. Already exists. Okay. Yeah, we probably need to maybe. Yeah, I should probably. I think we do this. We should override or at least add. But let me go ahead and add this manually for now. Since we need to probably add some better error handling. But let's imagine this actually did work. And it successfully updated the pool. What is this doing is updating the pool here. So I'm going to go into Radium pool here manually. I'll find what is it? Pengu Sol. Here we go. Okay, so now we want to update this one like that. And so now if we just restart gateway. Oops, killed it. All right, so now I think we should be able to have the right pool. Let's check that the pool is correct. Okay, great. Now we have the right pool. So now if we fetch a quote from that swap, still no error. Okay, interesting. Okay. Is that because it's too low? No. Okay. Well, yeah, looks like we have some work to do to ensure we can get a quote for that. So let's do a swap on Jupiter instead. And let's make sure we can do that. So yeah, so okay, so let me just make sure I can do. Yeah, what I want to show is basically just it's more about I want to show the hardware wallet part first. So sell 245. So okay, so yeah, that meant that if we did a trade, then selling 200 and yeah, this much Pengu would bring us, let's see, yeah, 0.6 Sol. That's actually, yeah, so that's so yeah, we basically go from 0.01 Sol to 0.5 Sol. Let's go ahead and do that trade so we can actually have some Sol to use for our trading. So this will help us make sure we can have some Sol to use. So let's go ahead and do that trade. Now I'm using my hardware wallet now. So what we'll see is once I hit yes, I'll need to confirm that in my hardware wallet. So so now what I see is that the order in my hardware wallet, and I hit approve in order to execute the transaction. And so now after I hit approve, it was executed, and now I've sold some of my Pengu into Sol. And so now when I do gateway balance, I should see that yes, I did in fact sell some Pengu. Yep, that's right. Yeah, so yeah, I went from 245 Pengu to a very small amount of Pengu, and I do have more Sol than I did before. Okay, all right. So actually, let me do that again. Actually, let me do that with yeah. Let me do that swap with some. I'm gonna sell some Sol into USDC, and then we can use the Sol in the USDC to do some LPing on Radium. And the reason I'm doing USDC is because I've done testing with the Sol and USDC pools. I have not done that much testing with the Pengu pools. So let's try to do that with the Sol. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll swap, and we'll basically sell some Sol. Sell. Let's try to sell maybe some like 0. Not too much. I think 0.3 is probably good enough. So that should be enough for transaction. So let's sell that. Again, so I'll approve that with my hardware wallet, and so now we'll sell that. Okay, so now if I've done gateway balance again, yeah, now I have $5 and a small amount of Sol, and now we can start experimenting with placing liquidity using the hardware wallet on Radium. Okay, all right. So to do that, let's go ahead and add a position, and we'll do that on Radium. Let's do that on Radium Clam, and we'll add liquidity. So for Radium Clam, we'll need to define the trading pair. And then we'll also, for clams, we need to find, so first we see the pool information, but first you find the lower bound and upper bound. So this pool is the Sol USDC pool here with this address. So let's take a look, and first let's take a look and make sure we understand that. I think that is this one here, address matches. And so so we have a very small amount. So let's go ahead and set a kind of like a tight range around the price like this. And maybe let's set like a 5% range, something like that. So if we that on Radium like this, and we have something like 0.1 Sol, about $1.80, we should expect about $2. So the ratio, if we did like a 5% range, should be about 0.1 Sol and about $1.94. If we did that, we're depositing those assets in, and what it means is our liquidity will be active in this price range, and within this price range, we're filling any trade that goes through, and we're getting 0.04% fees for that trade. So, so we can do that here. Let's simulate what that looks like. Make that a little bigger. Let's keep this open. So this is about 171. So we'll put 171 here. And for upper bound, we'll put 189 as well. And then we're using 0.1 Sol. This is the maximum amount of Sol we'll be using. So before we actually execute the trade, Gateway is going to fetch a quote and try to figure out, given the amounts we put in, what is the right ratio of the base and the quote asset. So yeah, we'll put about 2 USDC here as well. And so now it fetched the quote, and it said that for us to add it in, yeah, we would be putting in about 0.01 Sol and 2 USDC. So this number, we actually put 2 here. It's probably similar to what, it's very similar to what we're getting here as well. So note that there's liquidity, there's a slippage tolerance here. So we're using 1% slippage tolerance in fetching this quote. We're using 2.5 for this quote. So some of the differences are probably due to the liquidity, to the slippage tolerance assumption that goes into fetching this quote. If we didn't want to add liquidity, again, just like doing a swap, you would hit yes. So let's see if that succeeds. Okay, that did not succeed. And so one reason why that succeeded is probably because of slippage. Now, this can be tricky to get right because the slippage tolerance and everything is out. So one thing I'll do is I'm going to increase the slippage tolerance right now for Radium. That should help, but it probably won't fix everything, but I'll try to do it anyway. So let's improve the slippage tolerance by updating it to slippage PCT. I'll give that to 2. 2.5. So that should help. But the other thing I think what we should do is to increase the amounts that we want to make available, because the amounts will also probably an issue. So 1.9. So now I think I'll give it 0.02 Sol, because I think that was probably the limiting factor, and I'll say 2 USDC, and let's see what it comes back with. Okay, so still 2. But there is a larger tolerance, so let's try adding that and see if that works. Okay, that also did not work. Okay, let me do that again. This is actually tricky to get right, because like sometimes the slippage tolerance or anything else, we have to kind of put in the right amounts here. Let me try doing something else. I'll try expanding this a bit. Maybe let's try doing 20% pool. 144, 216, and then I'll try, yeah, let me give it 0.01 and 2. I want to give it more like, oh, actually, I know. I'll do it this way. This might work, but I think this yeah, this will fail as well. Okay, got it. Yeah, we have a bit more work to do to improve how these bounds actually get created, but I think I can do this work here. Let's see, 171, 189, 1, 2. Okay, I think this should work. Let's see if that works. Okay. Let me try updating slippage tolerance again. Okay, I think, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me take a look at the gateway again. Let me see. Oh, okay, got it. I'm sorry. I'm a fucking idiot. The reason it's failing is not because of slippage tolerance. The reason is because I'm using a hardware wallet and my gateway was locked. Okay, so this is all result of bad error handling because yeah, I was looking at the slippage error, but this is actually the most important error that was failing. So let me go back and actually open my wallet, and now we can actually get some LP positions executed probably. So give me a sec. All right. Yeah, that's what happens when you try to do a live demo and you don't practice every step of the way beforehand. Okay, so all right, and so now we have our hardware wallet activated, and so let's try that again with Sol USDC with 171 with 189, and then 0.1 Sol. Let's see, I'll put 0.2 Sol and 2 USDC. All right, so the optimal amounts, yeah, about $2 Sol, $1. We do have enough, and so let's try to finally add liquidity. My hardware wallet is active, and so I should be signing that wallet, which I am right now. I'm signing, and now it's actually being submitted, and we can see that it was filled. Okay, so as I said, the issue was not the slippage setting. The issue was I was not actually signing with a wallet. So another tip is, if you have problems with Gateway, at least for now, I recommend running from source or viewing the Docker logs so you can see what the errors are in the Gateway side, because that's probably more informative than what's in here. So we did view that position successfully. So now let's take a look at that position using the position info command. Okay, yes. So Sky High says, yes, what about the ticks for each pool? Every pool has different ticks. Can Hummingbot calculate that specific LP range and then calculate one side of the LP deposit? Yeah, that's a great question, Sky High. And that's actually what's happening under the hood. So once you define this price range, Hummingbot is determining basically the bin IDs that it should be placing using the Radium SDK or the Meteor SDK. And so that's actually why it was able to give you the amounts. So if you when we did that part here, this part here, when we said fetch me the quote for that liquidity, it was basically making an API call and giving you like the right bin IDs, which we turn into a kind of amount and a quote. So that's basically what's happening. So let's say we defined a price range that was like only above or below the pool, then you would only deposit one side of that range. And so that's why the amounts, it was each one was optional. So you could put in either base or you could have put in quote. So now that we have created the position, we can take a look at it. So this will fetch the positions you've created, and it'll show you the position you created. It'll tell you whether your position is in range or not. I'll probably add some fee calculations to it as well. All right, so let me make sure before we close it that I close and turn on my my hardware wallet, and then we'll go ahead and use that here. Okay. So now let's round out the demo by closing the position, and we'll also use the LP position for that, and then we can just use the remove liquidity final one. So you'll see again, it'll fetch the positions you have for it, and you can basically close either partial or all of the position. So I'll close the whole thing, and then and so now I will basically close it. And actually, I should move my head over here. Move my head over here again. See that? Okay, this is probably the best spot for it. And then okay, so then we can just do like this. Yes. Do we want to close it? So again, I need to sign the transaction on my wallet, and once I've done that, Gateway will send the transaction, and it will then close the transaction for you. Okay, so now what I think is new about Gateway is that you can access these commands using the command interface, but you can also automate them using a bot. So now let's take a look at what we can do in terms of automation. So there's a few scripts that come with Hummingbot. So we can look at the Hummingbot scripts directory. Let me pull that up, and then we can look at that to understand what scripts are available. So there's a few ones that you can kind of test out with. There's a very simple AMM price one, and then AMM trade one, and then there's also more complex ones like that. So the one we'll actually do is we'll run one called LP managed position. LP managed position will allow you to basically to watch for a certain price level, define a price range, like a position width percentage, and then it will basically place that per side once the position is active. Currently, I think yeah, this is so pretty basic. So it just assumes that you're placing like 10% on either side of that from whatever price it is, and you're going to use basically a certain amount of base and a certain amount of quote to create that position. So and then once that position is in range, the script will continue monitoring that position, and then until it's out of range for a certain period of time, in which case it will exit it. So first, let's go ahead and create a configuration for this script, and we'll run it and we'll use it as an example to see how we can basically simulate how we can automate kind of like doing LP management. But this I think also answers Rafael's question, which is how do you actually do a limit order on an AMM DEX? And we can use this script to simulate basically a limit order. Now we probably need to update this position width thing later on, but I think you'll see kind of the gist of how it might work. So the first thing we're going to do is first we're going to generate a configuration for this script that we can use. So basically, we basically need to create a file that defines these parameters. Then we can plug in to the script later on. So to do that, we'll use the create command, and we'll basically create a script config for this LP managed position script. So the first thing we'll need to put in is a name of the connector. Now, we can use either Radium AMM or CLMM for this. For the CLAM one, it will actually watch the amounts you put in, and if the position is active, it will take it out. But we also do the same thing for AMMs. And actually, for the AMMs, it kind of does very similar, which is it tracks the entry price, it tracks how much the price has moved, and if that price width has kind of exceeded the position width amount, it will still remove liquidity from that AMM position. So let's actually demo that using the AMM positions, and we'll demo that using the Sol USDC pair, and then we'll try it. So to do that, let's try to make sure that we are active. So let's try to do a very narrow range, and we'll basically start something as soon as the price rises. Right now, Solana is about 180. So I'll try to let's say I want to target a price for opening position at 170. And so yes, it goes up, and then we want to basically have a very narrow range. So I'm going to do like a 0.1% range, and then I'll try to add a 0.1 and about 0.1 Sol and 2 USDC to create a very small test position. I want to track as soon as this thing goes out of range. I'm going to use 0. I want to basically close it as soon as it goes out of range with no buffer for something like 15 seconds. And I'm doing that because I want to make sure that I can kind of I can basically close it right away. This is more for testing purposes, but I want to see that. So let me add another file for it. I think I created another one, so I'm going to give that number 2. Actually, I'll call it a demo. So we'll call that the demo file. So now we can configuration. But before I run it, I'm going to do one important thing, which is I'm going to change the tick size for Hummingbot from 1 second to something else. So the standard tick size is 1 second. We'll be actively monitoring the position. And I don't want to like, consume all my rate limits on my node provider, because I don't want to check every 1 second for the price. It's not going to change that fast. So I'll change this to 5 seconds. So now instead of every 1 second, Hummingbot will do a loop every 5 seconds. So exit to take effect. And so now we're ready to start our script. Before we do that, we can look at the file, the config file that was generated for the script. That is sitting in the conf directory. So if we go to conf scripts, and then we can see this LP managed position demo one that we did earlier, and this defines the configs that will be running in the script. So now if we're happy with that, we can go ahead and start it. So let's start the script. We want to give the name of the script and load the configuration, which was this demo one here. So now it's gonna connect to the node. Let's see, I'll start, and then so it's confirmed that the price actually is higher, and now it did not add the position. Let's see, did it add the position? I think it did add position. Let's see. Okay, I think it did add the position, and we should be able to see it if we go to positions. Wait, okay, oops, this is, oh, actually, okay. I think I know why. Okay, actually, never mind. I need to actually do this and stop this. This is actually not working, and the reason is because it didn't actually create the pool. It didn't create the pool because I'm still using my hardware wallet, and it's not going to have me sign transactions. So what first I need to do is I'm going to go back and use a different wallet for this. So if I do connect Solana, I can see that I actually have my regular wallet and a hardware wallet. So if I want to use this regular wallet and make that the default wallet to use in a script, I can do that, but I have to use the config command to do that. So I need to use gateway config Ethereum, and then I'm going to change the default wallet. Oops, actually not Ethereum. That's wrong. I want to config Solana update, and then let me just copy in my dev wallet address here, and then we can use that for the script. So now, let's see, confirm. Okay, yeah, we should still be able to run it. We still have the USDC and the Solana balance in this wallet. So let's go ahead and run that LP script with this wallet, and hopefully that'll work since it's not a hardware wallet. Oh, okay, yes, sometimes Hummingbot has issues if you kind of start and stop strategies a lot. So I always recommend if you're going to do this, you probably want to kind of like start, just exit, and then start a clean instance, and then start a script like this. Okay, all right, so let's see if it's getting, so now it's the pool address. It's trying to open the pool, and let's see if it opened the pool. Open the position, I mean. I think it did. Let's see. Okay, it looks like it did get filled, and we can look at the portfolio. Yes, and we do actually see a position here. So it worked. and we can enter into pricing live to monitor this position. So what happened just now was, we said open a position if the price goes above 170, and that position should be 0.1% wide from the open price. So this is a bit of a toy example. Ideally, you probably want to specify the side and specify the side and so forth. But this one, I think we could probably make the modification down the road. But this, I think, this actually, you can basically use this to do a limit order. And you say if the price is X, create a 0.1% wide price and only use one token and not the other, for example. But what this will do, the script does, is it automatically created a position once the price reaches a certain threshold, and it'll monitor this. And if the price exits this range for at least 30 seconds, then it will automatically close that position and provide a report of how much money you made or lost during this whole process. So that's what this LP manage positions thing does. And you can see every 5 seconds is basically doing this monitoring, and it's going to update that. That's why I changed the tick size to 5 seconds, because in theory, it could be doing this every 1 second, but it's kind of a waste. And if you access like a node, or you're paying for a node, you probably don't want to use it that fast. So changing the tick size is the easiest way, I think, of kind of like kind of making sure that you don't hit your rate limits too fast. So unfortunately, the market is a bit too calm right now. When I was testing this last night, it was exiting the 0.1% range like every 5 minutes or so. But right now it seems a bit calmer. But once it does exit, the script will basically exit. So we'll probably have a bit more work to do this release to kind of make sure the error handling is good, testing all 5 connectors we have. But I think this version of Hummingbot is pretty close to what we'll release in version 2.8. And so the key changes, just to summarize, that we're introducing in 2.8 are this command structure, which allows you to do swaps and to do LP. I'll stop the live update here. We'll keep this running. We'll stop the live update, but basically, I think the command layer is probably the main kind of like the difference with Hummingbot versus in 2.8, where now with Gateway you can do a swap and you can do LP transactions directly from the CLI. This also allows you to access hardware wallets, so you can add your hardware wallet. You can do trading from here, and both the commands and the script. When you use a connector, it's using the same logic, so it should be very portable, and we can add more commands and we can add more connectors, more types, and all use the same structure. So so I hope that's a preview. But I think this should be this should make Gateway a lot more usable than it was in the past. And I think starting with 2.8, we'll be adding bounties for developers to add other connectors and take over the management of some of the ones we have. I think the goal for me is to only maintain a couple connectors very well. Hopefully, probably only Radium and probably Jupiter. And then try to give room to the community to take over and maintain and add other connectors into Gateway. So looks like let's take a look at status. Okay, now it's actually pretty close to being out of range. It looks like the market's going up a little bit. So let's wait a little bit now and see if the price does rise out of range, and so we can witness the bot hopefully stopping the range and providing a report of the P&L it did. So let's see if the market goes up by 0.04 Sol in the next few minutes. Sky High, great question. Yeah, in this example here, yes, I'm creating a 50% position. What if you want to set? You could, you could do that. That's actually pretty easy to do. It's just not in the parameters right now. This is kind of like a toy script. So like this logic, position with percentages, is just doing dumb like 10%. think a flat either side. I think I would say, yeah, what we should do is probably just make this a bit more dynamic and have like, yeah, like spread above, spread below. I think it actually might have had that here. Oh no, I still have position width, but yeah, so it probably makes sense to change this position width into like upper width and lower width. And that way you can define if you want single side or not. I can probably do that actually before the release. It's pretty simple to do. Next question is, if you use a hardware wallet, can only be used in CLI mode because it requires manual signing? That's right. Yeah, unfortunately, I would say that's kind of basically the limitation of hardware wallets. That's basically the feature and the bug, is that someone has to be present in order to basically confirm that signature, and so you can only use it basically for like manual trading. I think so. Right now, at least for now, if you wanted to use Gateway with and automate it with a script like this, you have to use a regular wallet. And so you have to import the private key. I have been thinking about how to make that more secure. So I think what I'll do is I'll probably add a create wallet command where you can basically create a wallet in Gateway. So it's a fresh wallet, and you can just store it on the server, and you can hopefully ensure that that private key isn't leaked, and you can just send funds into that new wallet and use it with Gateway. So to me, I think that's probably the best way to do it, to keep it safe while still allowing you to automate. But the hardware wallet signing experience is going to be like kind of manual trading only. All right, so that was basically it. Oh, great. We actually did see a completion. This is important. So we did actually see a completion of the strategy, and so basically the strategy completed, and so we actually had a log here, so we can see that basically the logs on here will kind of give a summary of what happened, and so we can open up the logs, open up the LP management commission demo, and we can see at the very end what happened. So at the very end, the price actually did move above the upper bound, and it was after 20 seconds. Then the script automatically closed that position. After it closed it, it provided a final report of what happened. So you can see that the price change afterwards, how much the position was, the wallet balance before and after, and the net change in your P&L. So this is still a pretty simple example, but I think this illustrates what you can do with Gateway. You should be able to automate a process that allows you to kind of monitor the market and automatically do a swap or add or remove liquidity from an LP position. One final note is you probably do need to do some setup work to make sure that you're configuring the right tokens, the right pools, you're adding a wallet, and you're configuring the right slippage settings that you want to use. But if you do that, I'm pretty confident you should be able to automate a lot more things that you could do. That basically almost anything you want to do, you can do in the past. And so I think we'll probably be adding more capabilities into Gateway, like wallet creation, sending assets, and expanding to more protocols. So supporting things like lending, possibly staking down the road as well. Though I would say at least for the next couple few releases, we'll probably focus on just DEX connectors and ensuring that we can add new DEX connectors built by the community, and they support like the core functionalities that Gateway exposes, which is swapping tokens and managing liquidity. Okay, great. Well, thank you for listening. This has actually been a lot of, I'm really grateful for the fact that it's actually working well now, because it's been a really long road. I mean, I kind of started this refactoring project more than 6 months ago. I'm not an engineer by training. It was just because I really felt like we needed a better version of Gateway that I took on this project. But I learned a lot along the way. The first thing I learned is that with AI, I'm actually not a bad engineer. I'm actually a pretty decent engineer, even in code bases, even code that I don't understand, like Python. And I was able to, rebuild the Gateway JavaScript repo, and then rebuild this Hummingbot interface. And I think it's a lot more usable than it was in the past. And I think hopefully I can continue doing this and basically just work with Claude to continue improving the UI and to add more functionality. But it's been really fun. All right. Sky has any updates on DEX reward programs for Hummingbot? Yeah, actually, well, so the main reward program we've been working on at over here on our side is XRP Liquid. So XRP Liquid is what we launched for Ripple. So this is an order. This is actually you can actually earn rewards on order book exchanges as well, or on AMMs as well. But this is designed purely for a few markets on XRPL to start with, so people can already start with Hummingbot and earn XRP on these markets. We've already had something like 6 million of volume since we started the program. It's still in beta, which is why we've only distributed a small amount so far. But we'll be increasing the reward pool pretty soon, and stepping that up. One final note: this is actually not Hummingbot Foundation affiliated. This is part of a side business that we run called BotCamp, which educates market makers. And so we started this reward program to work with Ripple and to provide basically a way for Hummingbot users to earn rewards while running the software. We're excited to partner with Coin Alpha as well. So our parent company, Coin Alpha, also runs a platform called Miner. So Miner is basically these guys, Miner. So I think between Miner and XRP Liquid, there's actually a good number of options now for Hummingbot users who want to earn rewards with a bot. And I think after Gateway if it kind of becomes more usable and more heavily used, I do think we can start working with AMM DEXs as well to start kind of like making available their reward programs to users. But overall, I think that I think there should be a decent number of opportunities to run order book connectors and earn rewards on either XRPL, on Miner, and on other reward platforms. Of course, I should mention, I think one of the main reasons why people have been running Hummingbot was to farm Hyperliquid points. I think last year, especially when Hyperliquid had the season 1 and season 2 of points, I think a lot of people were able to take advantage of Hummingbot and run strategies there. So I think in the future live streams, we actually might start demoing this a bit more because we also have a new version of Dashboard, which is a lot more effective than it was before. So I think maybe from the future ones, we'll demo a live stream. So I hope this demo was helpful. I'm actually not sure if I was fully able to answer Raphael's question, which is how do you actually create a limit order on AMM DEX? But I think with the modification that I think Sky High asked for, which is changing this position width variable into something where you can define like an upper width and a lower width, you can basically set a limit orders using this script. You can set a very narrow range and say, I only want to open that range if the price goes up. And what the script will do is it will open that position, and once it's kind of like gone out, it will close it again, and it'll basically give you a report of what happened before and after. All right. Well, yeah. So if you want to play around with it, the code's already live. So just go to Hummingbot on one side, and then on the other side, get the gateway branch. So let me pull up those PRs again. So basically, the Hummingbot one is in this pull request here called Gateway 2.8 improvements, and then we also have a similar one on the gateway side for Gateway 2.8. So you should be able to play around with it already, connect your hardware wallets, start testing out swaps and LP management on Solana and Ethereum. One note is that we're still testing it. So the Solana, the ones are probably a bit more tested, but by the time the release happens, we'll try to get Uniswap, 0x, and all the Solana DEXs integrated. All right, everyone. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you on Discord. Bye. Actually, one final question is, Sky High, have you worked on any strategies for shifting inventory between pools? Not any strategies, but I do a lot of that myself. So I would say, I think everyone has a different trading strategy, but in my opinion, for DeFi, I don't think you want to automate right away. I think you actually want to just trade manually until you're happy with a certain strategy that you want to automate. One of the reasons why I don't automate my DEX strategies because I'm doing something different every time, depending on the market and the rewards available, the yields, and so forth. I would like to automate certain aspects of it. The aspects I want to automate are probably more related to monitoring, allowing me to basically monitor and get alerts on lots of different positions, on lots of different DEXs on different chains. But I would say right now, as an experienced yield farmer, I'm not really looking to like automate. And the main reason for that is because the marketplace changes all the time. And if I were to automate, it's hard to actually make money, reliably. Because it would just be throwing darts at the wall, I think. Now I do think that it is possible to automate certain things. For example, if my strategy was sex DEX arbitrage, if I was basically, if my strategy is one where I'm trying to always like arbitrage sex prices versus DEX prices, then I absolutely have to automate, and then I'm kind of full automation. But my strategy is more around yield farming. So it's kind of like looking at the market, figuring out where can I place my capital to take the least risk and earn the highest reward. So it's a bit more qualitative, and that's kind of why I'm not looking to automate. But usually I would say my advice would be if you're new to DeFi trading, don't try to automate right away. Just kind of like just understand how DEXs work. Use Hummingbot it's more of like a toolbox to help you kind of like monitor positions, execute trades on different DEXs. But I just wouldn't automate right away. By DEX strategy, I would say I think this strategy, I would say there's different ways to make money in DEXs. So I think of it as like if you look at Gecko Terminal, for example, these are all AMMs. So like their categories are I guess their category. Well, actually, this is not help, but I guess the DeFi Llama is probably better. So when I say DeFi, I would say like anything you're doing on chain is DeFi. So, but most of the reason why you're doing it, you're making money from three ways. LPing, where you're earning swap fees for providing liquidity. You're earning by staking, but you're basically staking and earning staking fees, or you're lending and you're earning yield from lending. So, at least for me, I'm open to anything, any strategy, any vault, any yield. But it's because I've worked in finance for a long time. So all this stuff is just stuff I've done before. And so for me, it's more like it's a poo-poo platter of different risky positions that are each have some component of yield, some component of risk, and I just need to find the optimal mix. So it's a complicated way of saying, when I say DEX strategy, I don't mean any particular, I don't mean CLAM, I don't mean AMM, I don't mean staking, I don't mean lending, I mean all of that. And I think, it's kind of like if you, in my opinion, if you want to be a DeFi trader, you need to really understand finance first and foremost, because you can't automate something that you don't understand. And if you do understand it, there's just so many ways to make money that it's more like selecting which way is best. Okay, I hope that I can always like go on a rant when it comes to finance, but overall I think that DeFi is awesome because all this shit that you can do now, it was only possible if you worked for like JP Morgan or Citigroup in the past. Someday now, it's open to everyone. All right, but I think next week I'll be off. I'm for the next 2 weeks, but I think Fede will be back. I think we'll kind of like take a break from DeFi and DEXs and go back and really show how you can use dashboard and the new Hummingbot API to automate lots of operations on SEXs. And I think Gateway is going to pair really well with that because we already have Hummingbot API which is basically you're like a private trading server that you can set up and run. And so we'll be integrating Gateway into this So it's like this API will be managing like a trading system for you, and Gateway will allow it to access trading on DEXs in addition to DEXs. So we'll be kind of integrating that in the next few releases. But I think that yeah, if you're doing DEX trading, I would definitely look at this API in order to kind of like build your own trading server. Okay, all right, bye everyone. Yeah. Finally, the target release date is probably mid August. So yep.